Hi guys, so I'm just going to make this quick video, and what I want to talk about is something that I feel is really important, not only as a counsellor but also just on a personal note, and that is learning how to respond instead of how to react. So for many of us, we've been in situations where we have been confronted with something that could be by someone doing something or saying something, and our immediate response has been to react in a very out of the character sort of way. Usually when we react, it's based off emotion. And so because it's based off emotion, it means that it's always going to be our initial reaction is usually going to be negative, not positive, because we've heard something or we've seen something and our brain is saying, this isn't good, I'm not happy with this, I don't like this. So whatever emotion we're feeling, we just react with that. Whereas when you respond, you select what's happened, you think about it carefully, and you decide on an appropriate response. And that could be within the same, straight away, immediately, or it could be later on. That's the difference between responding and reacting. A reaction happens straight away. A response can take time. So normally there are people in our lives who know us very well. Now, if someone knows you very well, my feeling is that they understand your character, they know how to push your buttons, they know your strengths and your weaknesses. So that can be a good thing and a bad thing. So in a situation with colleagues or with a partner or with family or with friends, no matter who it is, if they spend time around you and they recognise that, this person is sensitive if I say this type of thing, or this person is sensitive if I do this type of thing, majority of people won't do that because they don't want to push your buttons. They care about you, they love you, and they wouldn't want you to feel hurt intentionally. Other people will use that as a weakness, and this is where it becomes a problem. This is when you are constantly reacting, and this is when it becomes a vicious cycle, because person A will do something to you or say something to you. They know that it's going to affect you and push your buttons, and they're waiting for a reaction, and you will always give them the same reaction because you're just reacting to it. So they'll call you a name, or they'll start talking about your weight, or they'll start saying that you're lazy, or they'll start saying that why don't you ever do A, B and C, whatever it is. Usually it's the same thing that will trigger you. And rather than you just responding, your brain has already said, oh, this isn't good, and I don't like hearing this, and I've heard this before. So the last time I responded in this way, so I'm going to reacted, so I'm going to react in the same way. So what I've put here is that some people will thrive off pushing your buttons, and especially if they know you're an emotional person. What you have to learn to master in life is to master your emotions. It doesn't mean that you have to cover up when you're feeling a certain way. It doesn't mean that you have to be robotic. But I think if you are overly emotional, especially in this type of society that we live in, what it means that many people will use that against you. And I think there has to be that balance of how comfortable you feel. I know as a person that certain things that used to bother me don't bother me anymore, but that's not because the people are not doing them. It's because I've learned how to manage and handle that situation. I feel that I'm quite sensitive, I'm quite emotional, because as a counsellor, I've spent many years building empathy, learning to listen to people. You wouldn't want to go to a counsellor who is not sensitive to your needs, a counsellor who has no empathy. But at the same time, in my personal life, it hasn't always helped me. And so what I've learned to do is to get that balance. When I'm with my client in the counselling room, that's one thing. When I'm outside of the counselling room, there are times where I need to be less sensitive, where there's times where I need to just ignore things. There's times where I need to just accept that maybe someone hasn't intentionally said that to hurt you or done something to harm you. But even if they have, you're not going to react to it. So what I've put here is responding means you are using clear communication and rational thought, whilst reacting is giving the other person what they want, and it's based off emotion. When you react, the person who has tried to get you to react, that's the whole point of what they're doing, what they're doing. They're doing something or saying something so that you can react to them. Imagine if you just ignored what they said or did, or you decided that you're not going to react or respond straight away. You're going to wait. you're going to go away, you're going to think about what's been said or done, and then you're going to respond in a clear, concise way. I know that's not how life always works. There are times where reactions are necessary. There are times where reactions just happen. We're not robots. We can't always control our emotions. However, we can learn to get better at responding because it's for us we're doing it. We're not doing it for the other person. We're not doing this so that the other person can stop doing what they're doing or they can feel a certain way. We're doing it for ourselves so that we don't always feel bad about our reaction if that's not how we really want to behave. So there's 3 ways that you can, 3 tips I'm going to give you. The first one is to, whenever something happens and you have a massive emotional response, just stop, breathe, and walk away from that situation. You're walking away to calm yourself down. You're walking away to think about, okay, that person has just insulted me. My gut reaction is to fight back, to attack, to say something. But do you know what? I'm going to walk away. Let me think about what's been said. Let me think about how I can respond to this. You're putting yourself in a position of power when you do that because you're not allowing the other person to get a reaction from you that they were probably expecting. And it's also making you feel good about what you're going to do next. Number 2 is to think about what result you want to achieve. Sometimes when we react or when we respond, we want an end result. There are times where you're not going to get that. You can keep responding in a calm way or in a positive way, but the person who is trying to get under your skin is going to continuously be attacking or coming for you. Sometimes you have to just cut them off. You have to ignore them. You have to say, do you know what? No matter how I respond to this person, it's always going to end up badly for me. So therefore, I'm not going to try and get any particular results. I'm just going to leave them to it. So don't kind of put yourself in a position where you are constantly being hurt and attacked. There are times where you just have to leave it and say, do you know that this is never going to be fixed? Because you can't fix another person, not that you want to. You can't make another person change or do anything. And we should never be focused on that as the outcome anyway. The outcome should always be about what affects us, how we can stop it from impacting and affecting us, and how we can do that in an effective manner. And the third and final thing is when you do respond to something or to someone, be clear, be concise, and be rational. There are many times where in your head, someone calls it your inside voice, that you want to say things, but you know that by saying it, it's going to lead to worse consequences. So you need to think in that way. Just be clear. There's times where you will say to someone, I didn't like the way you spoke to me. It's not acceptable for you to speak to me in that way. If you continue to speak to me in that way, then I'm going to walk away, or I'll ask you, just don't speak to me at all. You're being clear. You're telling them that it's not acceptable. And you're telling them what you're going to do. That's the other key thing. Don't tell them what they need to do. A person is always going to get defensive if you say to them, you need to do this, you need to do this, I want you to do this, stop doing this, you're making me do this. Those types of words are going to get people's backs up. And also it might give them more power because they'll see that they've got to you. So the key is to tell them what you're willing to tolerate or not, and tell them what you're going to do, because they can't, there's nothing they can say. They can't come back and say anything to that. You've been clear with them. If you speak to me in that way again, and we're going to walk away, or we're going to, there's going to be no communication between us. So I hope you found this video useful. I've tried to keep my videos under 10 minutes when I can. It's been good today, but not always. Thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you to everyone that continues to watch my channel. Please feel free to like, to comment, and to share this video if you think someone else will benefit. I'll see you all again soon. Have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye.